Hello, everyone. How are you? Thanks for watching. I have a few things just to talk about here today on the regarding the ongoing Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation. Just some things that came out. Please subscribe and like this video. Okay, so not much, but I've been following this. There's because it's been in the news a lot lately. It just keeps popping up on my news feed that there's all this stuff coming out that I guess there was evidence in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, which I'm so bummed is over and has been over for a while because it was kind of my show I was binging. It was basically like the best show that was on for a while. But people are, there's all these stories coming out about evidence that was not allowed into this trial, and that was, I guess, some of it was in the UK trial. Um, I will say I don't think it's very damning. It was, because everything is clickbait now, so they put these things up to, because they try and make it sound like, sensationalistic and scintillating and salacious, kind of to get you, obviously to get you to click and read. But they'll be like, what, bombshell evidence that wasn't allowed in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial that could exonerate Amber Heard. And it was things like I guess the main one was that he had erectile dysfunction. Which I've talked about in this in the other video. It's just I don't know how that would have been relevant. And again, I feel like they just wanted to bring in this evidence just to humiliate each other even more. Because I just don't, legally, I don't know that really had any value other than like just, oh yeah, sometimes he can't get his dick hard. Oh yeah, so what does that mean? So clearly he beat me up. Oh, is that how it works? I mean, I guess I could see that, but I just don't think. And then, the other thing I will say about Johnny Depp is, I like him and everything. And they used a lot of evidence of him being passed out and stuff. Because she'd be like, God, he does drugs all the time, and he's always, and he's always on drugs, and look at him, and they would show pictures of him like passed out on the couch, and he just looks like, I don't know, just didn't get a vibe that he was beating anyone up from those photos. I always thought that was weird that that's what Amber Heard's side was using to prove that he was a wife beater. They're like, Your Honor, I'd like to show another picture. These are 10 pictures of Johnny Depp asleep, passed out from drugs. And they're like, okay, so he's asleep. Yeah, look, he's on drugs. So, he beat me up. Okay, but in that one, he's passed out with ice cream. Yeah, after he, passed out and ate ice cream, he beat me up, while he was sleeping. So that kind of wasn't, I mean, that wasn't very convincing evidence, but the erectile dysfunction one, and then I guess the nude photos of her, they tried to get in. But this is a thing that came out that I didn't know. Apparently, so there was like these text messages between Marilyn Manson and Johnny Depp. I guess Marilyn Manson, he's been accused by like, I think like a lot of women have basically said that he was abusive and just kind of would do sexually abusive things. And the problem with someone like Marilyn Manson is that he can deny it, but it's a lot easier to believe that Marilyn Manson kind of was a little freaky and maybe sadomasochistic, and I could see Marilyn Manson like beating women. I'm not saying he did, I'm just saying like his whole image that he perpetuated and put out there and projected for years was that he was this crazy guy, and he would kind of act unhinged and just psychotic and violent. He had a lot of violent imagery. If that was part of the appeal. The whole thing is that he changed his last name to the same last name as one of the most notorious serial killers of all time. But it was in the 90s when it was a different time where it was just, obviously he was doing it because he wanted to be a rock star, and you have to, it was the showmanship and the spectacle that you have to be a rock star, especially as time went on. So the fact that his whole career was centered around this image of him being kind of violent and nutty and crazy, and maybe like a sexual deviant. It's just kind of hard for him to be like, I don't understand where these women they're saying I was violent. Come on, look at me. It's not in my nature. And then they'll, every video is him just kind of like, I don't know, like rolling around in blood, cutting people. So him, it's a little easier to believe that maybe he did some violent stuff, because I guess Evan Rachel Wood wrote some piece about him. But and like I said, there's a lot more women who came forward against him. Marilyn Manson, Johnny Depp. It's like a lot of women that he dated, high profile women, went out of their way to say he didn't beat them. So the fact that no one else said it is kind of, looks good for Johnny Depp. But so I guess in these texts, Marilyn Manson is basically texting Johnny Depp, and he's like, oh, so my girl is pulling an Amber, doing an Amber 2.0. And, it's like, oh, I got to, can I come over? I need some asylum because the police are going to come to my house, basically saying. And then I think Johnny Depp says something like, oh, don't take any of her shit. My girl pulled that too, and then he calls her like a C word. And, I don't, honestly, when I first saw this, I didn't really like it. It wasn't like, they act like they have all these smoking guns, and it wasn't the smoking gun that I feel like they were acting like it was. I don't think, I guess the whole thing is like they didn't want it admitted because they didn't want Johnny Depp tied to Marilyn Manson, because he seems so clearly more guilty than Johnny. Like, it doesn't look good for Marilyn Manson. I feel like the consensus is that Marilyn Manson probably did some of the things that he's been alleged to have done, and that there's multiple women. Once you get past like 2 or 3 women, it's not like it's not that they did a lot of, women can lie or whatever. But I just feel like once you get like 2 or 3, more than 2 or 3, it's like, all right, this is a little ridiculous. So I guess they just didn't want it looking like that he was consorting with Marilyn Manson, because that would just look bad. But he doesn't say anything really like incriminating. He's not like, yeah, he's like, oh yeah, that sucks. Don't let her, accuse you of that. And then he's basically like, yeah, my ex is a bitch. Yeah, but like, they're like, clearly this proves he beat her up. I'm like, why? Because you said she's a bitch. I mean, yeah, obviously, I think that's kind of been established that he thought she was a bitch. But I don't know. Yeah, it didn't really. I don't know that if that came in, that would have made any difference. I don't think people would have been like, it's like he knows Marilyn Manson. All right, maybe Marilyn Manson's kind of an asshole, so it doesn't mean he did anything. I'm sure they both just love to like do coke all the time and, inject alcohol into their penises. Do you imagine just like a night at home with Marilyn Manson and Johnny Depp? But that would be like, hey, Marilyn, come over. What are we gonna do? I don't know. You want to watch the Gilmore Girls reboot? Like, what they just, Marilyn Manson and Johnny Depp, they just, I'm sure they don't do a lot. They probably do stay in and do nothing, but it's just kind of like, you'd probably be horrified by like seeing what they actually would do at night. Like, man, this is what you guys do. I remember one time I was in LA and I was with a friend of mine who was an actor, and he knew a lot of famous people. And like, it was like a Friday night, and it was like, he was like, hey, we're going to go to my friend's house. And the guy whose house we went to was like kind of this movie actor guy. He wasn't like a huge star, but he was like kind of famous. I knew he was. And I was like, man, this is going to be, I wonder what it's going to be like. This is crazy Friday night in Hollywood. I just moved there. And it's like, we're going to this like kind of movie star guy's house. I wonder what we're going to be doing. We just like sat in the living room and watched a fucking movie on HBO. That's all we did. And then left. I was like, I mean, this was kind of like the center of like what's happening in Hollywood. So I think you'd be amazed at how boring Marilyn Manson probably is now, especially. But another big thing, this is the last thing. So basically there was a thing that I've been seeing where, and again, it's like clickbait, and they're trying to make it into a big story where they're like, a lot of big celebrities are unliking Johnny Depp's Instagram post. I love how that's where we've come in our society, where like people like clicking a thing to not like a post that someone put is like news. And they're like, who are these A-listers that are unliking Johnny Depp's Instagram post? This doesn't look good for Johnny. And they kind of speculate. I think it was like Robert Downey Jr. And again, I don't know what that means. I mean, maybe they're just sort of like, maybe maybe they were scrolling through and they accidentally, you ever be scrolling through Instagram and you accidentally hit something? That's like the worst. I've done that where you're like scrolling through and looking at someone's post and you accidentally hit the thing. You're like, fuck, now they're gonna see it. Maybe they were scrolling. I don't know. I just think it's weird. Like, are these big stars? Like, I would think, Robert Downey Jr. These guys had more to do than just sit at home on Instagram on liking things. I don't like how this looks, me liking this. I know that it says that a million people have liked it, but like, what if people go through and look at all the names? Like it's Schindler's List or something. I don't want to be on this list. Not Schindler's List. That's a bad analogy because that was a list that saved people. Like a blacklist or something. Like McCarthy. Like, you're a communist. Take me off the list. I don't want to be on the Johnny Depp list of liking something. Is that going to ruin your career? Like, how much of a wuss would you be at that point? So we saw that you liked something. Yes. How do you explain liking something on Instagram? I don't know. It's Instagram, and who I just looked at it for 1 second. Well, don't you know that Johnny Depp once texted with Marilyn Manson? Yeah. So clearly, I mean, and also, have you seen the pictures of him where he's asleep? It's clear. I mean, did you not see the pictures? So I guess it's coming out the people that, and I think that story is meant to uh give some momentum to Amber Heard. They're like, well, clearly, Johnny Depp's losing the uh and losing the court of in the court of public opinion. He's losing the fight. It doesn't matter that he won in court. It's like, now people are, even his A-list friends are turning on him by they tapped something. So clearly they've taken their support away. Like, any of them even give a shit or like paying attention to that. But so anyway, that's kind of the stuff that's come out. And yeah, I'll talk about that stuff more. I have a couple other things that I'm going to talk about. Please, again, please subscribe and like this video, and we'll see you next time. All right.